Hey everyone, it's AP Guy again. Thank you for joining. The topic today is going to be what's the best humidity level to set your dehumidifier at. Most dehumidifiers have a humidistat that will automatically keep the humidity level at the setting you choose. I always recommend that you set your dehumidifier for 50% RH or relative humidity and let it run at that setting for 24 hours. If you see that the room humidity level is not dropping to 50% after 24 hours, then lower the humidistat on the dehumidifier 5%. And hopefully that will allow your room humidity level to reach the 50% that you desire. Once again, after 24 hours at running the dehumidifier set for 50%, if the room humidity level is still reading 55%, then you need to lower the humidistat on the dehumidifier 5% so it reflects 45% desired setting, and hopefully that'll be enough to jumpstart the dehumidifier, kick back on, and lower the room humidity level from 55 to 50%. Which is what we desire. And while you're retaining all this great information we're discussing today, don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments below. Okay, so back to the humidity setting. The dehumidifier not reaching the desired setting is common, especially if you're in a high humidity area. For example, it's much like setting your indoor AC thermostat for a particular number, and because it's so hot outside, it's having trouble lowering the room temperature. So at that point, all you do is you lower the AC thermostat a few notches until the room achieves the desired setting that you prefer. Without trying to get too technical, basically you're running the dehumidifier in an auto mode. You're setting it for 50%, and then that will trigger the compressor to turn on if your room humidity level is very high. The compressor at that point will continue running until you see the room humidity level drop down to the desired setting, and then the compressor will shut off at that point. Once the compressor shut off, you still may hear the fan running, which is needed to draw the airing because the dehumidifier has a sensor internally and has to sense the air quality as it goes over the sensor to know if it needs to trigger the compressor to turn on or to keep it off. There's usually approximately about a 5% variance. In other words, the compressor will shut off once it reaches your desired setting of 50%. And then when it feels the room relative humidity level is rising up about another 5%, so back to 55%, and that will trigger the sensor to kick back on and try to bring it back down to 50%. So it's a vicious cycle constantly. So you may hear the compressor going on and off, especially if your humidity level is much higher than 50%. Never, never, never run your dehumidifier in a continuous mode. Some of the manufacturers will even state that at the beginning. You read the instructions, it'll say put it in the continuous mode, and they're trying to lower your humidity level rapidly by running it in continuous mode. What the continuous mode means is it's dropping the humidity setting, the humidistat setting, down to one of the lowest points, so maybe 35%, which is much too low. If you forget to take it out of the continuous mode, then the compressor will stay on and you'll shorten the lifespan of this dehumidifier because the compressor is just going to constantly work, much like driving your car with the gas pedal to the floor all the time. Not only could that process shorten the lifespan of the machine, but it could increase your electric bill drastically. I have many customers get in touch with me and they don't know why their dehumidifier compressor is not turning on and off, or telling me that it's leaking water. The first troubleshooting question I'll ask is, are you running the humidistat set at 30%, very low, or are you running it in the continuous mode? Also, I'll ask them to feel around the coils or even on the outside of the dehumidifier vents and see if you feel any freezing or any icing, or if it's very cold. And if there is icing or very cold, it could be because you ran it in that continuous mode or at a very low setting like 35% for a prolonged period of time, and now the machine just overworked itself and it's freezing up and creating ice. So at that point, all you can do is shut it down, unplug it, let the ice melt, let it sit for about 24 hours, and then after that, plug it back in, power it back up, and set it for a higher setting, like maybe 55% at first, just to kind of coax it, get it working. And then once you see that it's pulling the moisture out of the air, then bring it down to 50. And then if you see it working at 50, if the relative humidity level of the room is actually reaching 50, then you're okay. If it's still a little bit high, then maybe drop it to 45, but try not to go much lower than 45%. Another reason for that setting of 50% is because you'll be at risk for mold or mildew growth if your room humidity level is over 55% for a prolonged period of time. Even setting the humidistat for as low as 40%, it's not too bad, still a little stressful for the machine, and it could increase your electric bill. Everyone, I hope this information helped. Please subscribe and leave your comments below. Click the links below if you need help finding a dehumidifier. This is AP Guy. See you next time.